Greetings, everybody. We're here.
Live in studio, live in person together, like the old days.
Like the old days.
Like the old days, continuing our tradition of lively conversation.
My room is automatically a mess.
I don't make your room a mess.
No,
I always
no.
just find it that way.
We're here today in the studio. We're at the studio. Today we're the studio.
That's where we study in here sometimes.
We're talking about the family today.
Today's a huge episode. So we want to just go over like basic general points in these early episodes that we can draw and apply to practical things that are actually happening in America and in the world at a later point. But it's like, and those future videos will be like, oh yeah, go back, watch the video on the family, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where we get into the importance of family life in regard to politics and the church and stuff.
Yeah, and it's really important because there's a statement, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but like the family is the first unit of a society, right? It is the fundamental unit of a society, and we've been touching upon culture, and the problem is that if you don't have the family as the basic unit of society, you don't have a culture, you don't have a society, right? So like anybody who says that you don't need family as part of a society, that they're crazy.
Yeah. And well, here's the interesting thing about it, right? I don't think there's anybody who's out there who would say you don't need family.
Yeah.
But they would say, oh, you need family. But the way they would define or the way they would view family is just so foreign to what the church understands as family. We're basically equivocating. We're basically talking about two different models, even though everybody left, right, whatever would say you need family. But when we say that word, we mean two just different things entirely. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing exactly. And the thing is that the modern notion of family is just like this, and it stems from like kind of like that liberalism, right?
Yeah.
It's this group of people, right, that are just kind of these individuals. You know, the woman and the husband made some sort of contract, saying that, oh, like we're attracted to each other enough and we can stand each other enough to where we can be with each other for a long time, maybe even until we die, right? And then we might have one or two kids, we might have a dog, you know what it is, and then our kids will go off and do the same thing. It's important that we just get our kids kind of into a good school, and we have a nice big house, and we just have a decent family, decent, living condition.
Yeah.
Right. But the Christian notion of family goes so much deeper because it's pointed towards heaven, and that the end goal of it is heaven. And that's something that I want to really kind of drill into everybody, right? That every part of society, every aspect that we're covering with society has to go, the supernatural end has to be heaven. Right? It can't be anything else besides that.
Yeah.
You can have other ends that you want to, or other means that are ends in them, that go to certain ends, but essentially it all has to end at heaven.
Yeah. So I just want to like zoom back out and then we'll go back into it.
Yeah.
Like why is talking about the family even important? Well, I think the best definition like of society I've ever read was given by Pope Pius X in his catechism, where he says, society is just the union of different families and whatever like little headship they've decided to put for themselves, right?
Yes.
So America is really just what did I do? Did I do this?
Yeah, you did this.
I was like, society,
does it work?
family.
Does it work?
I guess not.
Oh!
Well, I didn't know that was gonna happen. But like society, America, this continent that we live in, is nothing other than the union of just different families that have all said, this is how we're going to work together. And obviously in America, it started off small in the 13 colonies, spanning across an entire continent. Now we've got millions and millions of families that are trying to work with each other and decide on what's good and what's not. But so that's kind of why we're starting with family, because you can't figure out what the good of a country is until you know what the country is composed of, and you figure out what's good for each of those individual little parts that make up the country, and then you can find out the good of the organism is going to be figured out in that way. So that's why we're starting with family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jump back into some stuff we learned at Franciscan from Dr. Hahn.
I was going to say, get into that.
There's this great book by this guy named Carl Zimmerman. He wrote a book. He's a sociologist. I think it was like I forget the name of the title.
I don't know.
So, something about like civilization in the family, and he goes over these different histories, different civilizations, and he figures out how they saw family and how that led to like the rise and the fall of these different civilizations. And he categorized there being like 3 different types of families, so to speak. There was the atomistic family, is very small, like individualistic. So like kind of what we are in American society today is an atomistic society where it's focused on just like a man and a woman who basically get together and make a contract. Like, okay, we're going to be with each other for a while and we're going to maybe have some kids, but family basically exists only among themselves, not even like an emphasis on grandparents or even extended relatives, which I think a lot of families today in America, although like they'll meet up like for holidays or whatever, but they're not like super close. They're like not super close amongst each other. At least that's what I've heard and seen from a lot of people.
And I think that the other thing is too is that, right, like it's been interesting, right, being friends with you.
For a lot of reasons.
But it's been interesting because the thing is that I've listened to you talking about your family.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're a first generation American.
Yeah,
right?
I am. Yeah.
And essentially.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too is that your family unit, it's Mexican, it's Catholic, is so close together. It is so absolutely close together that it's somewhat kind of foreign to me in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not like overly foreign. You know what I mean? I think it kind of it's something natural.
Mm-hmm.
In people to be like, oh, like, well, we have to take care of my parents. Like we have to take care of the grandparents.
That's like almost a perfect way of approaching it. Where as the modern, again, Zimmerman calls this the atomistic family because it's focused on the self. It's so small. They're focused on like that generation. They're not so much tied to their grandparents. And this is, you see a lot among people who they put their grandparents in homes.
Yeah.
And they kind of just put them off in these homes to like die alone and be like mistreated by like staff. And it's because they're not really focusing on duties that belong to each other all life long. And it's kind of something you see in a boomer mentality here in America where it's like the parents like, oh, you're 18, you go off and you go do your own things. You're not going to really like have any more help for me. And then their kids in response are like, oh, well, after I'm 18, I'm not going to help you anymore.
Yeah.
And that's just super foreign to like a lot of different cultures, right? Like, I mean, in my culture specifically, I mean, like Connor was talking about how like we are similar and yet different. Like my grandparents are really, really close. All of my dad, his sisters and everyone, they're always taking turns like staying with my grandparents to make sure they're okay. Like they would never put them in a home, like ever. It'd be absurd because in a deeper notion of family, your relationship to this person and your duties and obligations extend your entire life, right? And that's something that in Zimmerman noticed in a different tier. So we had the atomistic, then there was the domestic is what he called it, which is a bit more, it's a bit broader. So you see a lively and lifelong connection between parents, kids, grandparents, extended family, cousins, etc. Like it's not like they're just individuals living across the country, even across the state, scattered around who see each other maybe on special occasions, but they're kind of like a unit that's like always maybe meeting like up like once a week or more than often because they
like Italian Sunday family dinners.
Exactly. Where like they rely, there's like a legitimate relying on each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing is that, and I don't think that's been completely lost.
No.
Right? Because the thing is that, like, for instance, right, like my grandfather, God rest his soul, passed away in February 2024.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, God bless her, she's 90 now. So just a little family history on my dad's side. So my grandparent, my dad's from upstate New York originally, right? And not that anyone really cares, but but my grandparents have 5 children, right? And so 5 children that moved out of their house when they turned, whatever age they were, right? And 4 boys, 1 girl. My dad went to Connecticut, and then a bunch of his other, some went in different parts of New York, some went, out west, some went down south. And now, after my grandfather passed away, one of my dad's siblings moved down to the south, moved also down to the south, right? And so you don't want to leave a 90-year-old woman alone. Yeah. So of course, come live with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my mom's side, God bless my grandparents, they're still able to live on their own.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They're old, but they can live on their own fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's the, and you know, and you know, it's like kind of like, hey, like, listen, like, we got stuff going on. It can, like, the grandparents pick up the kids from school. You know what I mean? Like, there's a mutual reliance on each other in that domestic family.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
not
mean?
even it's not a contract. It's not like it's a social contract
Yeah.
that we enter into, right? Like they're in the 16th, 17th, 15th centuries, you get a lot of political writers talking about a social contract. They're all talking about like what a society is, where does society come from? And a lot of these guys like are Hobbes, John Locke, if any of you guys know those authors. And they basically said, well, people just got together and were made up a bunch of like rules that benefited them best. And then if what benefits you best comes later, you just change those rules because society was just made up by a bunch of individuals getting together to like make rules over themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what a lot of atomistic families see themselves as. Okay, we are just here as a contract. This is beneficial to me right now. And if it becomes difficult for me later, I'm just going to, I mean, breaking contract has its problems, but it's not like a big deal. Whereas in a deeper conception of family and the domestic family, family isn't about a contract. You can't break a contract. You are always related to that person. You always owe them to some degree now. Obviously, some situations get difficult, etc. But you always owe them in a sense, your life.
Yeah.
You always owe them your life, you know?
Yeah. And it's like the joke is like, oh, like you're going to have to be, you know, taking care of your parents when they're really old. And, you know, I won't get into the nitty gritty. We were cracking jokes earlier.
Yeah.
But you know, but
there's always diapers being changed.
There's always diapers being changed, right? Whether they're little babies or they're old people.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, like, it's going back to like comparing or contrasting our family. My family like, grew up kind of like the Disney movie Coco. You ever see? I mean,
yeah, I love
because
that
there's
movie.
like a bunch of old people like in the corner, and they're just hanging out and they're chilling and they're talking about like when they were young, and if they're not super old, they're helping out how they can. And then you have like the younger generation, and then there's the middle age, and they're like doing most of the working, but obviously sometimes the older people still work. And then you have the upcoming generation where they're either little kids or they're going into adulthood. But it's like a family is a multi-generational, multi-level thing.
Yeah. And that's something, and that's the thing though. I'm really interested to see how you know, this generation and like the millennial generation treat the older generation. Like,
I'm not betting well.
I'm not betting well either, but you know, I'm really interested to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that the millennial generation and Gen Z, our generation, right? Are you millennial or you're Gen Z?
I'm Gen Z.
Yeah. So I'm not completely sure like how that's gonna work out itself out, because the thing is that I think that, you know, we're now at this point like a generation or two removed from like a pretty religious society.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're pretty removed from that. So that's just going to be interesting to see how that works out in itself.
Yeah. Well, it's because, like we said earlier, where at least since the 60s, there's been in America this atomistic family where it's like, okay, once you're 18, you leave, you go do your own thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, you're an expense. You're difficult for me to take care of. And there might be some truth to that, obviously, because taking care of people requires sacrifice. And if you're unwilling to sacrifice, it's like, go do your own thing.
Yeah.
So since these other generations were, and many, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of millennial people and how they related to their parents and their generation. They were like, yeah, my parents they just wanted to get rid of us. We always just seemed like a burden to them. And then they kind of they're not close because of that.
Yeah.
The grandparents and the parents are not close. And then that's why they put the grandparents in the home. And it's going to perpetuate like that, because the way kids are treated, they often will treat their parents later down the line.
Yeah. And I think another thing is that like, it's like weird. I'm not trying to sit here and like, you know, toot my own horn.
Yeah.
But it's just like recently I've been thinking about like, oh, how do I set up my future best for my children and grandkids?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what do I want to continue to do with my life in order to set that up? And I think that we as you know, a society need to get back to that.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into the last
yeah. So we got into the two types of families, the atomistic, which is basically what we are now. Everyone's basically just individualistic. They go off and like maybe they'll come visit their family like for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's like basically it. Then you have like a domestic family, which is okay, no, there's different generations, and they're all close to each other, and they're all depending on
and
one
there's
another.
still like parts of the domestic family.
Yeah, it's
left.
not completely.
Yeah,
it's not completely. Well, it depends where you are, because the U.S. is so big.
Yeah,
like certain parts in the South are probably a lot more domestic, whereas big cities like in L.A. or New York, etc., they're probably more atomistic. It's kind of like a sliding scale depending where you're at.
Yeah, I think sometimes it it's like kind of like a Venn diagram.
It depends
like
where you're at.
Yeah, and I also think that too, like, because you could find it in the Northeast with the Italians and stuff like that, and you could find it in the you could find it in the Southwest with the Mexicans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But so those are the two types, and then the third type, which is the most ancient type, which is usually the foundation of the society, and then they kind of weaken, and it eventually becomes atomistic, and then typically the society collapses. But the oldest one is the trustee family, where the family, like, again, it's not so much a contract, but it's more of a deeper bond that can't be broken. And it's not only just the living, but it's also the customs and traditions of the dead and of the ancestors, right? Where your ancestors are super important. Like, it's like in ancient Rome, where like the wealthy, at least, would like memorize their ancestors and all of their accomplishments, and they had all these statues of their ancestors in their homes. Or even how it's done like today in like Hispanic cultures for like Dia de Muertos.
Yeah,
where like you at least once a year, but often more, you have like these pictures of your old ancestors who have died, and you hear stories about them, and you pray for their souls. So the trustee family is much more, this family is a unit that extends into the past, but not just in a matter of memory, but also of forming who you are now. And as Catholics, we know you can pray for them, and they can pray for us in heaven, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's much more who you are. Like, think about it as identity. In an atomistic family, your identity comes from, you'll just make it as you go along. And maybe obviously your formation in your family is going to affect you, but you can kind of make it, you'll define yourself as you go on. Whereas in this trustee family, who you are is defined by your ancestors and like what you're born into. Now, obviously, the truth lies in a bit of in the middle, because who you are is obviously defined by your choices and so on.
Yep.
But so much of your identity is already preset. Who you are and what you're going to do with your life is basically set before you're born.
Yep.
In many senses. And these older trustee families were much more connected to some idea of the divine.
Yeah.
And they were worshiping the divine. They were connected to the divine. They were the like images and the representatives of the divine on the earth. Whereas in modern families, it's like, well, there's divorce and there's basically atheism, or like even cultural religion, where you just go again on
Christmas and Easter.
Yeah. So like the modern family is basically boiled down to holidays, whereas the older versions of the family, they would always be working together for a greater good. And if you would still have holidays, but you would be working the whole year to celebrate together. Like, we'd be working together to celebrate together, whereas now we kind of have this a lot more isolated, you know?
Yeah, and
it's a spectrum.
it's a spectrum. And everybody just kind of has their own lives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's a foreign concept within the last 100 years. It's like, it's a weird concept to think about, that all of a sudden within the last 100 years, things have gotten so boiled down.
Yeah.
To this atomistic family. And as Vatican II and as Pope St. John Paul II says in Familiaris Consortio, the family, as I said earlier, is the key unit of a society. Yeah. Right. And Andrew said that without this sort of key unit, this cornerstone, right, it collapses. The whole thing collapses completely. And we're getting it, like you brought up, like the ancients with Rome. Yeah. Right. The Romans, as Andrew said, and I'm reiterating it, knew exactly what their ancestors did. Right. And once that started to get boiled down to this atomistic family and stuff like that, and all the immorality that happened in Rome and the barbarian hordes flowing in, you know, it ruined Rome.
You lose your identity.
You lose your identity as a Roman, as an American, as a Briton, as anybody.
Because at that point, to be Roman ceased to be a member, ceased to mean being part of a member of certain families.
Well, like take clans, for instance, right? Like, it was fun. It was a funny story. Like, my dad has a lot of granddaughters.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. My father has a lot of granddaughters, and I just gave him his seventh. So
you're right. Yeah, that is.
So the thing is that with his 7th granddaughter, he was like, well, there goes the family name. But but your family name means something.
Yeah.
Right. It's just as if like the name American means something.
Yeah.
The name Nolan means something. The name of Roscoe means something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, if you forget, like man, the family coat of arms my wife and I have right over here, and it explains a little bit of the family history.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm proud of that family history. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've told you that, like, I was telling you, like, one of my great uncles was a bishop in Ireland.
Yeah.
Right. Like, somebody, like we know who these people. I know who these people were.
Mm-hmm.
You know who your people were. Like, one of your great grandfathers was a was a colonial governor for the Spanish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, we're proud of that.
Yeah.
We're proud of our family history because that is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing is that I don't want that to get ruined.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the Nolan name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the Nolans were, like, from what I understand, aristocracy in Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
in the Middle Ages.
Hard to believe.
Right. that somebody, I try and dress like it, but
you're on the way back. You're bringing them back to ascendancy. But I mean, even your parents and grandparents are very impressive people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's not like you guys ever declined as long as I knew you guys. But it's interesting too, like we said, where the trustee family was like the strongest family. That's kind of like the generations that establish the culture. And then eventually through war or disease or even being too rich, it deteriorates until it's destroyed, right? And it's because, think about it, a trustee family, if everybody is so united to each other and they know who they are and they know what they're willing to die for, they're going to be hard to conquer.
Yeah.
They're going to be super hard to conquer because they know who they are. They have literally a ton of people because everyone has a ton of kids. They have people who can protect themselves, who can protect each other. They have these alliances and they can fight enemies. But the more and more isolated you get, the easier you are to take down because it's easier to defeat 100 people one by one than being a small group versus 100 people.
Yeah.
And you see the inverse where you see these big, strong families. The government's pretty small. Government has minimal authority because the family is the main government.
Yes.
The person who's going to be deciding how things are run.
The First Society.
The First Society.
Scott Hahn wrote this book called The First Society. I actually just started reading it, but The First Society, right? And actually, really
link
funny
in the description.
Link in the description.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. love Dr. H.
We'll talk to you about him for free all the time. But it's like you see these when the family is strong, the government is pretty small because the family is going to handle everything. The family is going to handle education. The family is going to handle healthcare. Like if I have like you and I were joking about this the other day. Oh, I got a cousin who's a doctor. I got a cousin who's a mechanic. I got a cousin who's in the army. I got a cousin. I'm just going to go to my cousins to get these things done for me.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that was sweet. It's great.
Yeah.
I got a cousin who works in medicine. So I'm just going to go see them. But that's better. So the family is going to handle all these things. Whereas if the family is weakened, you're going to go see strangers. Now, obviously, sometimes strangers are better at a certain trade or whatever, but it leads to the isolation of the family and the growth and power of the government and of like strong companies. And where the government and the companies become stronger and the families boiled down to individuals, that's when you see liberty being destroyed.
Exactly. And then this gets into another thing I want to get into, right? So the thing is that you have all of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that, and just as a side note, right? If you're the man of your family,
Mm-hmm.
like you're the one, you're the father of your family.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yes, in a sense, like I've been seeing this recently, right? Like, it's just like there's this one evangelical Protestant pastor. His name's Mark something, and and I always see him, and like he was talking about something like where no, like when you get married, like you're a new family,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, in a sense, that's true.
Yeah.
Right. There can't be boundaries that be crossed.
Yeah.
You can't cross certain boundaries with that, right? Like somebody in my family insults my wife. Like, I'm mad at you.
Mm-hmm.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad at you, but we need to resolve this because we are still family as well.
Yeah.
Because you just insulted one of your family members,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the thing is that, like, I mean, there's certain situations, every situation is nuanced,
Yeah.
right? As to how you fix that. And like, you can't get rid of principles and stuff like that that are important and morally true. But, but at the same time, you know, you have to do things with, you know, love and affection because that's your family.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of that familial bond.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're the man of your family, you should be thinking about how your family's become an empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
You have to think about how your family's going to become an empire. And I'm not saying you got to force your kids into, your family business or whatever it is, but it's just like, no. Like, it's like, find what you're good at, do it. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make sure that, like, okay, like, this is connection here, but this leads into something else. Right. So, like, even if your family doesn't have, you know, the doctor, the lawyer, the mechanic, this and that.
Yeah.
Right. There's other families that you get close with, and this leads into what a body politic is, what a political community is. It's a group. It's the basic bare bones of it is different families coming together. Right. This is what was explained in my Catholic political thought class at Franciscan. Right. It's different families coming together into a larger community, say like a town or a village. Right. And, you know, you got a blacksmith over here. You have the mechanic over here, you have the electrician over here, you have the lawyer over there, you know, and you know, it's like, okay, like, you have the farmer and
the different organs of the body
politic, exactly, the different organs of the body politic, right, of the political community, right? So it's just like, yeah, like, okay, like, sure, like, it's not a bad thing for you to say, like, hey, like let's just do a group CCD class, like, we could all effectively do this together.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time too, each part of society, right? So, like, yes, the family is the first society. It doesn't mean that you can't send your kids to a good Catholic school and be like, oh, well, like, yeah, that's fine. Like, they can educate them on, like, the more nuanced stuff. Like, I don't know what chemistry is, so, like, I want to send them to somebody who knows chemistry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Like, we're not saying that that's bad, right? But at the end of the day, you know, the marriage, the family is the first society, right? And you get together with other families and create a constitution, right? A set of laws as to how that society is going to be governed.
Yeah.
Right. Every society, it doesn't matter what it is, because and that's the thing. People don't recognize the family as a society.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean? And the family is a society. And you can't be power grabbing. The father's the head of the family. You know, the mom's the second in command. You have to have reverence for the eldest son. You know, you have to have, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's all biblical. That's all Christian.
Yeah.
Right. But then, like, okay, we elected a town mayor. Like, we all have reverence for Mayor John. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And ideally, I mean, like, I'm going to describe how my grandfather described, because my grandfather grew up in a village in Mexico where he's like, yeah, we were all like third and fourth cousins, fifth cousins to everybody. Like, my family, because he's like, my family, we were in charge of like a lot of like huge farmlands. My second and third cousins, they were the mayors. My third and fourth cousins, they were in charge of law enforcement. It's like all of these families that are distinct and good at different things eventually grow together over time.
Yes.
To form a really strong community.
But the thing is, though, is that you don't want to outsource that to and we'll get into subsidiarity, the Catholic teaching on subsidiarity, a different episode.
Yeah.
But it all links together. And I think Pope Pius XI, he released 2 great encyclicals on Christian education and on Christian marriage. But he's big on subsidiarity and patriarchy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And how it links together. And so that is something you don't want to outsource it to a bigger outside source. Yeah. Okay. Like take the, you know, and you don't, you have a collection of states and you have stuff like that, but it's different familial groups.
And see, the outsourcing only happens when the family gets weakened.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. So when family decays from like trustee to domestic to atomistic, that's when you need more government, because your family's not going to be helping you.
Yes.
You need the government to protect you when your family can't protect you.
Yeah.
You need your government to educate you when your family can't educate you. And when we give more power to the government, or also to big businesses, when big businesses decide who gets to live and who gets to die because they price medicine, when the government gets to decide, okay, I'm going to take away your son and go send him to go fight in a country across the world because it helps my shareholder, the guy who paid for me to get elected, that's when you lose your liberty. You lose your liberty when you lose your family.
Yes.
The loss of liberty always happens after the loss of strong families.
And that's the thing, like, as I said,
because
like,
individuals are conquered easily.
If like you're the head of your family, like, you want to make it an empire.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be like, you know, doing evil things. You know, you have to be a mafioso.
Yeah.
But like, you have to be you have to be, you know, say like, no, like I want you to get good at something, because the thing is that like I want my hometown to be strong.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to really outsource anything outside of here, because I don't know these people.
Exactly. They don't have your people who aren't your family, who are the government or big business, don't have your best interest in mind.
Yeah. And the thing is that, and it's just like, okay, for instance, right? Like, say Andrew and I lived in a hometown, right? Like, same hometown. We grew up in the same hometown. And it's just like this, right? If like, and I know you're not married, but like if you were married and, you know, my wife went over to your wife, it's like, hey, can I borrow some sugar? It's just like, oh yeah, and you don't have to pay me back because I have your best interest in mind. Yeah. It's just like, oh, and like, you know, and you know, it's all this whole like Thomistic Aristotelian friendship sort of thing. Yeah. But it's just like, oh no, like, yeah, it's just like, and then next time she can come over there and like, you know, you have no problem giving her some, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. You know, because you know, you have yourself's best interest in mind.
It's a friendship.
It's a friendship.
A society is about friendship,
and that's ultimately ends up being familial.
Exactly.
Right. Like if and a lot, and that's the problem about modern day American society in a lot of places. Right. Like you know, like in a bigger area like where I live, you know, like you become close to certain families just simply through your parish, through your church. Right. You're like, oh, we know that family, we know that family, we know that family. We like to hang out with them, we like to do things. Our kids grew up together. We went to the same went to the same school. Yeah. Whatever it is. Right. And, you know, like, oh, you know, but it's still more domestic than anything. Yeah. You know, if, you know, because the thing is
because you see them kind of like as merely like there are three types of like different goods, obviously. The pleasurable, the useful, and like the virtuous. Like nowadays, we kind of see our neighbors or friends or whoever.
It fell.
Oh, we had a poster taped up into the back, but so you couldn't see the can. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, so it's like, we see like our extended friends or extended family as just like, oh, it's a nice thing you can add on top. You know, it's not like I'm going to them for help for major things, you know? Yeah. Like the Amish who like get all their family together, like build a barn or whatever, you know, like we don't rely on our friends and family really for too much.
But the thing is though, is that I think like we're seeing a change a little bit, because the thing is that like if you and I lived in the same neighborhood, right? Like, it's just like, hey, Andrew, can you come over today? Because I need help, like, working on my kitchen. Yeah. You know what I mean? You would be like, oh, yeah, of course. You know what I mean? Because the thing is that although we're not blood family or by covenant or anything like that, like, you and I are still linked. I mean, obviously through baptism. Yeah. Right? And baptism's thicker than blood. Yeah. You know? But at the same time, too, it's just like, hey, like, yeah, like, you and I like to go out and to the casino together and, you know, all that good fun stuff. And, yeah. But at the same time, it's just like, no, like, I can count on you to come help me out. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I can count on you to take care of my kids if like something ever happened. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't put that on you, but you know,
they'd be in good hands no matter what would happen to them. But it's like, this is like it's a spectrum, right? Because I mean, like, I grew up in California. You're from Connecticut. Yeah. But there's a bunch of big towns. Like, everybody I know who's like urban, like live in the big areas, they don't have connections like this. Like, they really don't. Yeah. They're just individual. And I guess like in some places, like, oh, maybe in the South, maybe in the, what do you call that part of the country where all the mountains are at? Like mountain zone, like where Dakotas, over there, whatever that is. I feel like they have like cold, the cold zone, cold town. I feel like they have maintained their stronger familial bonds because in those areas, typically the government and the businesses are weaker. Yeah, because you are forced to rely on people. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's weird. Like, right? It's just like, in a lot of people, like, for instance, right? If you want a good community, right? Like, you should know the people that own your grocery store. Oh yeah. Like, you should know the people that own your favorite restaurant. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, my baptism and confirmation parties were held at the same exact place that has the same exact owner. You know what I mean? Nice. Yeah, and it's just like, and like we know who he is. You know, I don't know him well. Yeah. But like, I could pick him out of a crowd. You know what I mean? And that's important. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I mean, you've been to my hometown.
Oh yeah, I love your hometown. I love your hometown.
And it's just like, it's a very, very, it still kind of has that kind of feel to it, but it's still not the trustee.
No. And the thing about your hometown is, you were telling me this the other day, and this goes back to points you were making. There are descendants from like the founders of your hometown. Yes. Like, your town was started in the 1600s?
1671.
And you were telling, I forget what
1670.
1670. You were like, yeah, and like one of the local families is still like somewhat prominent because their fathers were like the town founders hundreds of years ago.
Yeah. Well, literally, because the thing is that so like my Eagle Scout project, right, was for the 350th anniversary of the town, was going through one of the oldest cemeteries in town, with the oldest cemetery in town, and finding the plots of this family, right, so that they can for the anniversary, all of them coming back to the town can go see their ancestors where they're buried.
Yeah.
Right. And so the thing is that I mean the guy wasn't overly prominent, but he was a Eucharistic minister at the parish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like,
and that's what you mean.
Still like he was. But and it's just like the people who lived in that town who had been there, like, and I remember talking to the guy. I mean, God rest his soul, he's passed now. But he'd be like, yeah, before like the 30s or something like that, this was a big Yankee town. And what does that mean? It means English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the heritage of the town, no duh. Right. And then the Irish and the Polish and the Italians moved in. And that became kind of a big cultural heritage. But the thing is that like, and there's still like big names in town. Like, like this, like, and it's funny enough, as a prime example, like 3 of the big names in town, they're all intermarried to each other. They're all intermarried to each other.
Yeah.
So the thing is that like they're prominent names in town.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is too, is that like you could see on like the town Facebook page, because every town has a Facebook page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For all the stupid stuff. My mom would be like, "Oh, I remember that guy from high school." You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, like yeah, like I grew up with this guy," or this and that.
Yeah.
So the thing is that, and that's something that's slowly starting to get lost.
Yeah. And it's like we could talk about like when a society is healthy, its family's healthy. When a society is collapsing, it's because family's collapsing. So whenever we, in future videos and stuff, we'll be talking about like specific problems that America has. Like, this sounds kind of kitschy or like simplistic, but I actually believe it. That it can be in some sense and in many respects boiled down to the fact that there's a problem in the family. There's problems in the family.
It's not kitschy though. It's real.
It's real. Exactly. It's real. But like it sounds like something like your mom would have like
so
on like a wall.
simplistic.
Like, it sounds
without family we're nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, without family, it's like it's in an embroidered thing that you get it like at the Ross or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's actually true that if a society is having a specific problem, it's because there's some aspect where the family is failing or the family is in trouble.
Yeah, and the thing is and it's important that you maintain those relationships within your family, even if you don't like the guy, even if even if the guy pisses you off, or you don't agree with them. It's if you're divided and conquered. Like my father, it's not good. My father always used to say to me, Ian, my father's a big jokester. Andrew knows
your
this.
father. Yeah.
My father's a big jokester, and he goes to me, and he would be annoying the hell out of me. And he would go, "Well, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like that has stayed with me. It's just like, no, like, yeah, I might not agree with everybody in my family on things, and I might not, see eye to eye, and like there might be some tension sometimes, because there always is. We're human beings.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just like, man, dude, that's my family. Like if they needed my help, I'd be there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want them to be involved in my life, and I want to, unless like they're satanic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At that point, there's a line that you have to.
Yeah. Unless you're doing like
ties
they're like worshiping demons.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want them to put like hexes on my children.
No. Yeah. But, heaven forbid.
But like,
your mind always goes to like the most extreme things. Well, no, it's true. It's true.
It's real.
Yeah. It is real. It is.
I'm a man
real.
of extremes.
You are. You're an extreme. You're an extreme guy. But it's like, think about the Book of Genesis.
Great book.
I love that. Great book. 50 chapter. Hey, Bible in a year. It's January
30. You can still catch
January
up.
30. You're gonna catch up with your readings from the Book of Genesis. All right, but when society was like originally just like 2 people, husband and wife, Adam and Eve, and then they expanded, they have kids, and then there's like a civil war in the family because Cain kills Abel, and it's from that there's a schism within the family, and eventually these families continue to grow and grow and grow, and eventually though, Cain's influence will extend over the other families, and then through them the world's going to get flooded because of their sins, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, the problem is that the world's going to get flooded. Well, I mean, it was God's justice, so we can't really call it was a good thing that it happened insofar as it was removing evil, but it's problematic for the people who are getting drowned. It's like, okay, why is the world getting flooded? Oh, because our society was immoral. Why was our society immoral? because eventually it boils down to their families became immoral because Cain's descendants all ended up having different perversions of what family life was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Like Cain's family is the one who introduced polygamy.
Yeah.
And that causes all kinds of problems. It caused all kinds of disorders in the world. And then we don't have time to get into like what on earth Genesis 6 means, because that's just that could be a whole episode in itself. But you see problems with the family.
Yeah.
And it's because of those problems with the family that God says, okay, enough's enough. We have to kind of start over. And that's why he picks Noah. Again, a different family. Because once the family got out of control, well, then God picks a new family, the family of Noah, through which he's going to bless the world. Yeah.
And this is getting into it. How do you abrogate these problems?
Yeah.
Right? And I hope I use that word right.
Well, it depends what you mean by that.
Well, how do you get rid of these problems? It's sorry.
Anyway.
Your walking dictionary. Anyways,
it's working us. Anyway,
I'm
get to your point.
Working on my languages. Barely have command of the English.
Yeah. It's a tough. I'm happy it's one of the first languages I learned because it's an annoying.
Yeah, you would have been like, hello,
hello, how are you?
I fix.
Yeah, I do.
I come to take.
Yeah. What was the point you were making?
The way to fix it is seriously
Yeah.
is to live out the faith.
Yeah.
Right. Like John Paul II gets into it in Familius Consortio. I can't remember. I actually don't know, to be quite frank, off the top of my head, if he lays out like what prayer life should look like.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that he talks about too, the liturgy has to be taken into your home.
Yeah.
And we got into this last episode.
Yeah, with
right?
liturgy. Yeah.
We got into this last episode with liturgy. The liturgy has to be taken into your home. Now that doesn't mean that you have to be like watch it, pretending to play mass, you know what I mean, like your kids can. Sure, it's cute, but at the same time too, it's just like Pope St. John Paul II gets into it, that you have to live out the liturgical life within your home.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that aim up towards heaven.
Yeah.
Right. Like you should be praying with your wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you should be praying with your kids. Like you should be blessing your kids. And it doesn't have to be anything like there's not a day that's gone by unless like my wife went on a retreat. So there's like 2 days that has gone by since my wife has been pregnant. Right. That I have not blessed my wife and baby.
Yeah. And that's hugely important. And my family's the only family I've ever known. I guess you now. That like we're blessed by like the older members of our family. I don't know too many families that still do that tradition because that's an older tradition of like the trustee.
My father-in-law does.
Your father-in-law does
not all the time, but he'll do it.
No, it's like when we were growing up, my parents would bless us every single day.
Yeah. And
then if it's like a big occasion, it's like, okay, well, this is a big thing that's going to come up. We have to go get a blessing from your grandparents.
Yeah.
We have to go see your grandparents so that way they can bless you. So that way the blessings that have come from them and their sacrifices and their relationship with God, they have like, well, your parents have a direct authority over you. Your grandparents don't have that same direct authority, but they still have some sort of like a moral authority over you where they can call down blessings.
Priestly authority in a sense.
Yeah. Not an ordained,
ordained
sense,
way,
but in a natural priesthood sense. Yeah, which could be a whole episode in of itself, where it's like the blessings of God flow from the family from top to bottom, right? Because the father's the head of the family. Then you have the mother and the kids. The blessings, God works through hierarchy because God designed hierarchy, right? You're either going to have a hierarchy in your family, which is much more, it's easier for that to be rooted in love, or you're going to have a tyrannical, like 1984 hierarchy of a gigantic government that had to be constructed because the family hierarchy failed.
And they don't want to
no matter what you do, you are underneath a hierarchy.
And they do not
want to bless you. They want to curse you. And this is a point actually I wanted to make earlier. Whereas, like with the example you gave, wives and friends sharing things. The government can't tax that. That's why I don't like it. The government can't tax you if you have a happy, like functioning family because people just love each other. And like, well, I can't steal love, and the government doesn't even want your love. You know, it's like that's why the government grows. The government wants to break you up, connect you to this financial and political system, so it can just take your money.
They want you to feel like you're loved by them.
Yeah, but the government does not love you. The government is not that into you.
No. Sorry, bro.
Sorry, bro. Yeah, you are simping for the president of the United States. Or I don't know. But what was the point I was making? It was about like the government like not wanting to tax you before. Oh, the blessings. Like it's like blessings flow from hierarchy because God set it up. And God is going to bless us through our families, right?
Yeah.
And that's the whole story of Scripture. It's blessings and curses coming from different families. And ultimately, God has chosen one family, the family of Abraham, that in that family, he's going to send his son so that through that family, the whole world is going to get its inheritance. It's going to get its blessing. And we're going to be
Genesis 22.
Genesis 22. So we have this, whatever, because like I want to be, I want to become an American, even though I was born here. I aspired to be more and more engrafted into the culture of this country.
We just went to the gun range.
We went to the gun range, so I'm feeling pretty American today. But it's like we have to every like that's an inside joke among it. But like
he wants to be a cholo.
I already was one. Now I'm like an American person. But no, I'm just who I am all the time. That's just me. But what was I saying again? It was like we get off topic with these the blessings.
I don't know the blessings. Yeah, the Genesis 22.
Connection, right? So all the families of the world, whether it's a family in America, a family in Canada, no matter, all these different cultures have to be united to Christ and that divine family that points up to heaven. And that goes going back to the liturgy episode.
Yeah,
it's an actual connection to heaven.
We're happy to be together.
It's like it's so much better to be in studio than like I'm just like staring at my camera. Like, yeah, that was a great point. You know, it's like
I really hope people enjoy this.
I mean, I'm
just really funny if the mic was muted. It's not. It's not. But
I'm doing this for me. You know, I'm doing this for me and Anthony Abate. That's what I'm doing. This
we have to make we have to
to
stop the entire episode. Okay, Anthony, if you ever see this, we just want you to come on the podcast.
We want to have you on.
We want to have you on.
I feel like we'll have a great conversation.
Yeah. Pines that follow us on Instagram. Pines that follows me on. Pines that follows me on.
Big things are coming.
Big things are coming. Big things are coming.
But family is the way God's designed the world. And like you said, okay, you're going to be under, like, I'm repeating it because I think it's an important point for politics. No matter what you do, you're going to be underneath a hierarchy. You're either going to be underneath the hierarchy of love in your family. And obviously some families aren't loving. And it's through those families that all society gets messed up. It becomes tyrannical.
Like,
so,
yeah.
You can, obviously, if you have issues, God help you, God bless you. But you can create a good family. You can change things for your kids. And like through family, you'll have from the father downward, you'll have all these blessings in a family. And if you don't have that, then we construct this gigantic evil machine that is the government.
Yeah,
that is these big businesses.
And I want to even connect this more to the last episode, right? Because we were talking about how, right? We're talking about Genesis 22.
Yeah, Genesis
right.
22.
And how that comes out through the Eucharist.
Yeah.
Right. That is the covenant that was essentially promised to Abraham. Abraham did not know it, but it was promised to him.
Well, to some degree he did. But anyway.
To some degree, yeah. But what I'm saying is that okay, then we bring the liturgy into the life of our home, right? And if the liturgy is in the life of our home, and the faith is the center of it, Fulton Sheen says 3 to get married, right? If the mom and dad are united on that goal, right, raising little saints to become big saints, eventually like heavenly saints, right, then the society just won't collapse. Like you just are impenetrable, dude. You are just impenetrable.
It's like because you're the trustee family. Because like you have to have your family survive, you have to be connected to the divine family.
Yes,
it's the only way that you are going to have the strength to be a good father, to be a good wife, to be good children. You only get that through the grace of Christ. That comes from being united to his family, which is the church. And that's why there we go. That's why the society needs the church, because the society is only going to get the grace it needs to function as families from the church.
And the church literally is a family.
Exactly.
It literally is a family, right?
It's the ultimate trustee family because it's connected to heaven and to the past and to people around the whole world.
Because the church is our mom, and Jesus is our brother, but it's like, but the Jesus is the bridegroom. He's the groom. Right. So the thing is that like that's mom and dad. And mom and dad will take care of you.
Ephesians 5, where Christ is the bridegroom and the church is the bride. It's like when Saint Cyprian of Carthage, a 3rd century, he was a bishop. Bishop of Carthage, 3rd century bishop and theologian, said, you cannot have God as your father if you don't have the church as your mother.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why you need to have these unions, society and church.
So like, men, like try not to mess up, man.
Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. It's just like marriage is so important because I mean, we said we would get into this problem in America, right? But I don't think we can end this episode in the next 10 minutes without touching on it briefly. Because the thing is that like we're seeing some sort of resurgence where like men want to get married and women want to get married.
It depends on what your Twitter feed is.
It depends on what your Twitter feed is. Yeah, sure. But the thing is that, but like even like, and there's some levels that are like outside of like the religious sphere that are kind of like twisted, but they still want to do it. They have the right intention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the thing is that because like what else do we have if we don't like get married and have kids?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just like you get married and have a bunch of little kids and like raise them well, like love them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We could go on for like another like 30 to 40 minutes about how the family is a reflection of the Trinity in creation.
Do you want to touch on that really briefly? Can you touch on that in like 5 minutes? Like a
okay, we'll do it briefly. That could be like a whole episode though. Where it's okay. Why does God create things? Well,
we will make it an episode.
We'll make it an episode. But the brief thing is everything that God makes in some way reflects Him, right? And the family reflects God incredibly because the family is obviously we're rational beings. We are able to know and love God.
Yeah.
So this is how God, the Trinity, works. The Father comes from nobody. They're all fully God, but the Father comes from nobody. But the Father, in knowing Himself, begets the Son eternally. So the Son is eternally begotten from the Father. And when the Father and the Son are united in a bond of love, together they spirate forth the Holy Spirit, right? So the Father is the monarch, the source of the entire Trinity. In knowing Himself, He begets God the Son. And then in the bond of love, they love each other so much that a third person, the Holy Trinity, spirates forth, right? So that's the eternal mystery of the Trinity. And human family is made to model that, where the love of just like how the love of two persons, father and son, in an ineffable and in a mysterious and eternal and a non-bodily way begets the Holy Spirit. The family, the love of two persons, begets more people. And that's so just as the Trinity is a bond and foundation of love from all eternity, so the family, the relationship between man and woman, like Adam and Eve were designed to be, their love for each other was supposed to bring forth life. Yeah. And every person is to be a reflection of that mystery.
Yeah.
Because the most fundamental aspect of reality is that life makes love, you know?
Yeah.
And when that goes awry, that's where sin and the destruction of society comes to play.
Absolutely.
So yeah, since the family reflects the eternal mystery of God, it's sacred and has to be protected, not only naturally, but even supernaturally. The only way you can get this protection is through the grace that comes from the church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a heavy topic.
It's a
heavy topic because the thing is that
and we're trying not to go into too much detail. We're trying to keep it somewhat low level.
Yeah, because the thing is that like we don't know like for like because we've been getting some.
You just leave comments. Leave comments.
Leave comments,
too
please.
Hard
yeah, because the thing is that like I mean like we're not like blown up or anything yet, but the thing is that like I want to attract an audience, you guys, right? That like are like, oh my gosh, like, because. And this has been talked about obviously before by people on the internet. Like nothing that we're talking about on the internet hasn't been talked about before. Yeah. But I know we said that we saw that there was a gap, and there is somewhat of a gap.
I think the gap is bringing these really great like concepts to like an easier understanding.
Exactly. And the thing is that like if we want to get into the deeper stuff, like we could do that sort of thing if you guys want.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like there has to be general formation in this.
Yeah, and that's what these earlier episodes are supposed to be.
Exactly. So the thing is that like please comment and like it's nice for us to get the interaction and get more people to see this because we want more. Like, I'm gonna be open about my intentions. I mean, like I'm literally just as open as a book in these videos. I don't care. Mm-hmm. But like we want you guys to tell us what you guys want to see as well, like further explanation. Because the thing is that like, or else we're just talking to a brick wall.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like the 200 people that watch the video so far, you know, on average, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can just care about what you guys, you know,
we want to
understand more.
Want to converse.
Because the thing is eventually I'd like to get more into live streaming.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So, and just because like then we could really converse and like you guys can ask questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no. I mean, I think it's a good place to end it.
Yeah, it's a good place to end it. I mean, like, my parting shot is like the problems that America's having. It's like people can't buy eggs, or like people, you know, healthcare is too expensive, or there's too many foreign wars, or taxes are too high. These are all real concrete problems, and they all ultimately stem in one way or another to problems in the family.
Yeah,
they're problems in the family, and then the government and big businesses seeing how they can take advantage of that, and then that hurts us.
Like if we had in my parting shot is of like if you had I'm literally just saying what you said. If you have a family unit that is so strong, where it's like, oh man, I'm out of eggs, but and like or like a community that is so strong that is familial, right? It's like, oh, I can go to my brother, or I can go to my next door neighbor who's like one of my best friends.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because I know them so well. You know what I mean, and I can just go get some eggs from them.
Yeah, I mean,
You
like
know
the reason why, like people will often talk about how different, like right, and we're in 2026 now, how different now is from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, or whatever. And those periods, the people had like good jobs where they could make a lot of money, and because businesses were not familially minded, they were like, man, these employees cost me a lot of money. What if I just build my factory in China or in India and I just pay them like half?
Yeah,
because that saves the business money, but it's an unfamiliar way of thinking that leads to all of the economic problems we're having right now. When society is not focused on family, those businesses were not focused on, okay, the purpose of our society is to make sure the families can flourish.
Yeah.
They weren't focused on that. And right now our politics and our economics are not focused on how the family can thrive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, how can we increase the GDP or send money to other countries? It's kind of like the purpose of our politics and economics right now. But that's enough for right now. I
was going to say something. That was, I will just say what I think on this podcast. I'm not sure who's the audience yet, so I'm bridling my tongue.
All right.
How many walls do you get? Never mind. Sorry. Yeah. I can't.
But listen, our enemies, they are focused on they're focused on their families. They're focused on building up gigantic structures for their families.
Yeah.
We have to start focusing on our families and what's best for them.
Absolutely.
And you do that by
Ordo Amoris.
Ordo Amoris.
As the vice president once said.
And the saints in the church before him. You know. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
we can go on.
We could go on.
Anyways, thanks guys for coming. Please actually legitimately comment, like, subscribe, please share. We want to get this content as much people as possible. I want this to be a regular thing. I want this to continue. I know Andrew wants this to continue. This is fun. I mean, I literally get to talk about subjects I like. It's a break from life. It's leisure.
It's leisurely.
Even as we got to last time. Joseph Pieper, Joey Peeps.
Yeah.
No, this is fun for us.
Yeah. I mean, I do it for the love of the game, but it's nice. It's nice if people watch it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to just
you know. I mean, it could be like it'll be like in 10 years where we'll still have the YouTube channel, but like they get like 5 views or like 10 views. You know.
Love of the game, man.
I do it for the love of the game.
Love of the game. Anyways, thanks guys for joining. God bless you all.
God bless.
And raise up good families for God and country.
Amen.